Top 10 Terrific Firearms in History. Number 10. MG42. Concocted in 1942, is scandalous around the globe as the weapon utilized at Omaha Seashore to cut Americans down. However, it was utilized in Russia to substantially more ruthless impact. It shot 1,200 rounds of 8mm rifle ammo every moment, which is adequate to slice a man down the middle. It was air-cooled, and could soften its barrel whenever terminated relentless for 5 minutes. That's the reason the Germans had a few barrel close by, and could change to another one in just 60 seconds. Number 9. Glock handgun. The Glock is a definitive in current dependability. You can pour sand down the barrel and it will shoot. It will shoot submerged. It is usually utilized in 9mm, however is chambered 4.40 SIG and .45 ACP among others. It is the standard law authorization sidearm today and will keep on being for quite a while. It never sticks, is waterproof, generally plastic. Number 8. 303 Lee Enfield. What might be compared to the German Mauser has one trump on it, a 10-round magazine, contrasted with 8. The English received it into the military in 1895 and utilized it solely until 1957. Officers were bored until they could play out the distraught moment, terminating 30 rounds in 60 seconds and hitting 30 targets. This required reloading twice, and working the jolt to and fro in under a large portion of a second. The rifle is precise to 1,000 yards with open sights, and served in India, famously utilized against unarmed regular citizens, the Boer War, both universal wars, and numerous others. Number 7. 50 M2 HB Modus BMG. The cooking assault rifle is loaded for the most remarkable shoulder-discharged cartridge to date. It is planned considering a certain something power will in general degenerate outright force is kinda sweet. The 800-grain powder load has 14,895 foot-pounds of energy at the gag, which is sufficient to get a full metal-jacketed round through 3 moving toward vehicles. It has destroyed helicopters with 1 round. Now envision a belt took care of automatic rifle heaving a drapery of these rounds at you at 1,200 rounds for each moment. Unique Sabo rounds can go clean through tanks. Number 6. Smith & Wesson Model 29.44 Magnum Revolver. Put on the map by Messy Harry in 1971, it was created in 1955, is still idea of as one of the most remarkable handguns on the planet. However, it has been overshadowed by the .500 Magnum, the Desert Bird .50A, the .454 Casual and a couple of others. But what those other handguns need is controllability and similarly minimal effort. The .44 Magnum will in any case run you in any event $800 new, which is a great deal for a gun, yet modest contrasted with different Magnums. You won't break your wrist shooting it, but it can drop Cape bison and polar bears. In the event that I might be managed the cost of one terrible joke, it will fill your heart with joy given that you feel fortunate, punk. Number 5. The Mauser Model 1893 Bolt-Action Rifle. The Jolt activity had been kicking around since at any rate 1824, when Paul Mauser & Co. protected the 1893 rendition in 7mm. It has become the benchmark, on which all Jolt activity rifles are based, and against which all are thought about. There are 3 essential Jolt activity frameworks: the Lee Enfield, the Mauser, and the Mosin Nagant. Of the 3, the Mauser framework is by a wide margin the most far-reaching, the most dependable, and the most fight-demonstrated rifle instrument the world has ever observed. The 1893 Mauser was the first, and unique modules actually work impeccably. Number 4. Colt Single-Action Army Revolver. The symbol of the Old West, the Colt .45 pistol was imagined in 1873 and promptly got on as phenomenally precise at short proximity. Contrasted with the ball and cap changes mainstream at that point, its type was adequate to flip a charging man in reverse off his feet. It very well may be utilized today to chase deer and wild bears. The bigger powder burdens can bring down grizzly bears. It's as well known as the weapon of Wyatt Earp, among other Old West VIPs. Number 3. Henry Repeating Rifle. The granddaddy of all switch activity guns, Benjamin Tyler Henry designed it in 1860, yet neither the association nor alliance needed a lot to do with it, as they were apprehensive their troopers would fire excessively fast and waste ammo. On the off chance that I may utilize an unoriginal joke, military insight. Express gratitude toward you, it terminated a progressive, independent cartridge in .44 type, with 568 foot-pounds of halting force, all that could possibly be needed to put a man down. It held 16 rounds in a cylinder magazine, and a decent man could discharge 28 rounds for every moment, so obviously superior to 3 every moment with a gag-stacking percussion cap black powder gun, that if either side had received the rifle as standard for infantry, that side would unquestionably have won. Number 2. AK-47. Sufficiently precise to take care of the work out to around 400 yards, which is all anybody ordinarily requires in a fight. The AK-47 is a definitive apex in rough dependability. It won't separate during an onslaught except if something calamitous transpires. You can drive a tank over it, toss it against a divider, lower it in sand, water, mud, and each time it will go directly on, terminating when you pull the trigger. I know a Vietnam veteran who was strolling through Triple Shade Wilderness one day in 1966, went over a surrendered AK-47, and couldn't get the jolt to slide back. It was excessively consumed from the downpour and climate, the wood was spoiling off, yet, he put it butt first on the ground, snapped the activity open, and it loaded a bullet, which he discharged precisely at a tree 50 yards away. He stepped the activity open once more, and it loaded another bullet, which he discharged precisely. Number 1. Colt 1911.45 ACP. Just as tough and solid as the AK-47, this handgun was imagined by John Sauting for the Colt organization, in 1911, as a sidearm for American warriors. It promptly substantiated itself a world blender in World War I, again in World War II, and has been a foundation of the American military ever since. But its most amazing accomplishment has been the simplicity with which even undeveloped regular citizens can fire it precisely, maintain it in working control, and protect themselves capably with it. 7+1 rounds of fat, man-halting force ideal for short proximity self-protection. Fighters have hauled it through marshes in the Pacific venue of World War II, with their fingers on the trigger, at that point whipped it out of the grime and terminated every one of the 8 rounds accurately. The best way to develop it is make it less expensive. You'll burn through $1,000 on one.